Cynthia was released from punishment this morning. Her father advised her to say goodbye to Charlie politely and obediently. Chung Fong is very stressed today after his son's confession about his behavior towards his daughter-in-law, Liona. Dear viewers, please follow today's events. Thank you.
Chapter 2501. Early morning. Aurous Hill City Village. Cynthia, who had lost at least a dozen gins, walked out of the dark alley empty-handed. 5 minutes ago, Orvel's men opened the door of her room and told her that she could leave. At that moment, Cynthia cried bitterly. She had been fed up with Aurous Hill, a cold, shabby, dark, and humid city village. She stayed in this tattered place for so many days, and there was a cheap musty smell all over her body, which made her feel sick all the time. She could leave early, but Charlie delayed her for several days for no reason and then added another 7 days to the original deadline. In fact, if you count it, it's past early morning, which means it's overtime again. However, this time Cynthia had learned well, and she didn't dare to yell at Charlie, or even to those who were guarding her. Therefore, at the moment of getting permission, she almost didn't even think about it and went straight out. After running out, she realized that she didn't know where to go so late. She wants to return to Eastcliff immediately, but there can be no flights at this time. If her private plane is transferred from Eastcliff, it will take at least 2 or 3 hours, so where will she go in these 2 or 3 hours? Thinking of this, she immediately called Isik. She felt that Isik also had a private jet in Aurous Hill, and she could directly ask him to send her back. However, what she didn't expect in her dream was that Isaac's mobile phone turned off. Isik knew that Orvel was going to release Cynthia tonight, so he set his phone to Do Not Disturb mode long ago. In this Do Not Disturb mode, only Charlie can get through his phone, and any other number calling him will prompt the user to shut down. Seeing that the phone couldn't get through, Cynthia cursed and said, "This damn Isik, how can the phone be turned off? Is he hiding from me on purpose? What a jerk." In anger, Cynthia has no time to get angry with Isik. The most important thing for her now is to return to Eastcliff quickly. So, she sent a video call to her father, Zongquan. At this time, the old man had already fallen asleep, and when he received the video call, he asked a little sleepily, "Cynthia, what's the matter so late?" Cynthia cried and said, "Dad. Charlie, that little bee at starred, finally let me be released, but I can go back to Eastcliff now. Isik be at starred mobile phone is also turned off. Please take a look and arrange a one for me to come and pick me up." Zongquan said, "It's Charlie to give you a set time. Then take a taxi to the airport, and I will arrange a plane to pick you up." Cynthia choked and said, "Dad. You shouldn't let me take a taxi to the airport. I have never taken a taxi before when I grew up. The taxis are broken, and a car would be worse than the 4 tires on my car. It's not valuable, and everybody in it sits on top of it. It's so dirty." Zongquan said helplessly, "Cynthia. You are now in a special period. You have lived in a dirty and messy village for so many days. Are you afraid of taking a taxi?" Cynthia wowed and burst into tears. "Dad. I came to Aurous Hill according to your request this time, but I really have faced all the hardship I have never experienced in my life." Zongquan also had a headache, and said, "Okay, you have something to say, you are all this old, don't cry at all, crying won't solve any problems." After speaking, he yawned and said weakly, "Hey, I'm too sleepy. This man is very old. If I don't sleep well, my body will be affected too much, so I won't follow you. Let's talk more, you can take a taxi to the airport, I'll go to bed first." Although Cynthia was very aggrieved in her heart, it was not good to see her father say so. If she continues to force him, she can only be aggrieved and said, "Then, Dad, don't forget to order the plane before you sleep." Zongquan was very tired and said, "You don't need to call me for such trivial things as dispatching airplanes. You can call Leon and let him arrange it." Cynthia felt even more aggrieved when she heard this. "Of course I know. I'll just talk to Leon for this kind of thing. But the reason why I went to the old man directly is not to pretend to be pitiful in front of him. This will also make the old man's impression of Charlie worse. Besides, the old man knows that I have suffered such a grievance in Aurous Hill, and he will definitely give me some compensation. Unexpectedly, the old man does not value me so much." Although Cynthia was dissatisfied in her heart, She did not dare to continue to mess with the old man at this time. She was about to say goodnight to the old man and ended the video immediately. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the landline on the bedside of the old man suddenly rang. The landline at the head of the old man's bed is his emergency communication line. Only when a major incident occurs and the old man is already resting, the subordinates who report the matter will find the old man through this dedicated line. At this time, Zhongquan also realized that something important might have happened, so he couldn't care about it. After finishing the call on video, he picked up the landline and asked, "What happened?" On the phone, Leon blurted out, "Master. Just received the message. Shoude, the second child of the Su family, went to Aurous Hill tonight. He disappeared in Aurous Hill." "What?" Zhongquan, who was tired a second before, immediately sat up and asked excitedly, "Shoude disappeared in Aurous Hill?" "Really?" Leon said, "It's true. The Su family sent many people to Aurous Hill overnight to search for his whereabouts like a carpet search." Zhongquan suddenly became extremely excited. He laughed and said, "It's great. It's great. Xin went to Australia as a scapegoat. Shoude disappeared in Aurous Hill again. The Su family lost 2 people in a row this time, which is equivalent to the old fox Chengfeng's hands and feet half worn." After speaking, he couldn't help sighing. Shoude must have been done by Charlie. In the whole Aurous Hill, only he has this kind of strength and courage. Leon said, "Master, there is currently no clear evidence that Master Charlie must have done it." Zhongquan smiled confidently, "It must be him. It must be him. Apart from him, there will be no second person." After speaking, Zhongquan said again, "Charlie even dares to move the second son of the Su family. It's true that a newborn calf is not afraid of tigers." On the phone, Leon said solemnly, Master Charlie is the son of the second son. Someone has said that the second son is the destiny of the true dragon, and the second son is the son of the second son, so he is not a newborn calf, he is a dragon." Zhongquan laughed loudly and said, yes, he is the son of Changying. He is as kind as his father." Speaking of this, Zhongquan said excitedly, "With Charlie here, the Wade family's takeoff is just around the corner." Just around the corner. Cynthia was shocked when she heard this. She has no energy to feeling sad for the excitement of her father now. She was completely shocked by what Charlie did now. She was incomparably shocked, and she was terrified. Charlie, this guy. Is this guy crazy? Even dare to move Shoude? That's the second son of the Su family. This guy even doesn't take Shoude seriously, and if I am tied up, what will I do to make him pay for the humiliation he gave me?" At this time, Zhongquan had no extra energy to care about Cynthia. Now he is extremely excited, and there is only one thought in his mind. The Su family has suffered heavy blows one after another, and the opportunity for the Wade family to surpass the Su family is near. At this point, he immediately said to Leon, "Leon, we must closely follow the movements of the entire Su family, and at the same time secretly send more people to Aurous Hill, just in case, if they find Charlie, we must not stand by." Leon immediately said, "Okay master, I will make arrangements." After that, Leon said again, "Master, or I will go there myself." Zhongquan said sternly, "You don't go now, your identity is more sensitive. If you go to Aurous Hill at this time, the Su family will definitely think this matter is related to us, so you just stay in Eastcliff with me and watch the change." "Okay." Leon hurriedly agreed, and said, "Master, what other orders do you have?" Zhongquan exhorted, "You tell others now. I will have a meeting in 20 minutes. Also, if there is any movement in Aurous Hill, you must report to me in time." "Okay, Lord." Zhongquan hung up the phone, and here Cynthia said aggrieved, "Dad, what should I do?" Zhongquan discovered that the video call with Cynthia hadn't been hung up yet, so he said, "Isn't it easy for you to do this? Just call Leon and ask him to arrange a plane to pick you up." After speaking, Zhongquan remembered something and blurted out, "By the way, Charlie let the people under his hands release you. Then you didn't see him in person?" "No," Cynthia said angrily. Zhongquan gave a hum, and said, "In this way, you call Charlie and tell him that you are leaving. You call him to apologize for the offense before. Don't forget to say one more thing. Having been in Aurous Hill for so many days has also caused him trouble." Cynthia was stunned and said, "What? Dad, He took me so badly, you let me apologize to him. Also, he detained me in Aurous Hill for so many hard days, how come it is me that caused him trouble? Zhongquan said coldly, your character really needs to be changed. You went to Aurous Hill this time. There were problems with many things. It is reasonable to apologize to Charlie. His senses are very bad. This may hinder him from returning to our Wade family in the future. If you don't want to let him let go of his prejudices, don't talk about him in the future, and I won't forgive you. Cynthia almost collapsed. However, when she thought of Zhongquan's tone just now, she knew that if she didn't do it, the old man would definitely not forgive her. So, she could only say angrily, okay. I will call him. Well, it's almost the same. Zhongquan nodded with satisfaction, and said, okay, so be it, I'm ready to go to the meeting. After speaking, the old man ended the video call. Cynthia wiped away her tears, and reluctantly found Charlie's mobile phone number and called him. At this moment, Charlie was editing the video, and Cynthia's phone suddenly came. He couldn't help frowning, hesitated for a moment, and then connected the phone. Hey. Cynthia was even more angry when she heard Charlie's cold voice, but she didn't dare to make any negligence in her mouth, so she could only smile and say, Charlie, I am your aunt. Charlie asked coldly, what's the matter? Cynthia hurriedly said, I called to apologize to you. This time I came to Aurous Hill because I didn't know how to deal with it, causing you a lot of trouble, and it made you angry. I hope you can forgive me this time. As she said, the other thing is, Auntie is going back to Eastcliff tonight. This time I am really causing you trouble. Charlie didn't expect that this aunt would call to convince him. Moreover, it was after she had recovered her freedom. It stands to reason that this aunt is unlikely to really know her mistake and repent. If she made this call before she regains her freedom, then 80% is to let him let her go. However, after she regained her freedom, she called him to subdue herself, which is really incredible. Maybe, the father forced her to apologize. But Charlie didn't bother to talk with her too much. After all, there was still an explosive video to be released, so he said lightly, I hope you can keep a low profile in the future, not be so arrogant and do it for yourself. After speaking, he ended the call directly. On the other end of the phone, Cynthia gritted her teeth angrily, stomping her feet, and said to herself, good boy, you Fu King wait for me, I'll let this out sooner or later. Charlie hung up Cynthia's phone and continued to edit the video. At this moment, he received a news feed. When he looked at the title, he couldn't help laughing out loud immediately. The title is, The Su Group Suffered a Series of Plots. Following the disappearance of Liona and Jiu, Shoude, the vice president of the Su Group, is also kidnapped in Aurous Hill. €. Charlie clicked on this headline curiously and found this news. It was written that Shoude was kidnapped and disappeared in Aurous Hill. In addition, the news writer also speculated that there must be an extremely powerful company, family, or organization that is deliberately launching an attack against the Su family. First, Liona and Jiu were kidnapped, and now it was Shoude who evaporated from the world. All of this came to the Su family. He urged the majority of netizens to discern the truth and not to be misled by those who deliberately discredit the Su family on the internet. He also kept saying that all conspiracies will eventually be broken, and the black hands behind the scenes will eventually surface and accept the law. Originally, some netizens did not believe that the Su family was really innocent. However, when they saw the news that Shoude was also missing in Aurous Hill, they changed their views. In their view, this must be someone deliberately rectifying the Su family. The Su family is really miserable. The daughter-in-law, granddaughter, and son have been kidnapped one after another, life and death are uncertain, and they are almost framed and mistaken for the murder of their daughter-in-law and granddaughter. In a short period of time, the comment area was full of sympathy and support for the Su family. When Charlie saw this, a smile appeared on his face. In his opinion, the more Su family desperately seized every opportunity to cleanse, the worse it naturally fell. However, this old dog Chengfeng is really a contemporary hero. Ruoli, he said that she can be sold. Liona, his daughter-in-law, he said that she could be killed. Now that his own son has disappeared, he did not forget to take this opportunity to wash the ground for the Su family. The method is really extraordinary. However, He must have never imagined that all these efforts he made will not only help the Su family to reverse public opinion but will make the Su family's death worse. He used 10 minutes to edit all the videos. In the past 10 minutes, the Su family has bought almost all of the media software, madly pushing the press release just now, and the public opinion on the internet has completely supported the Su family. Charlie unhurriedly turned on the short video platform and used the vest to upload the edited video. The title he gave to the video was, "The Kidnapping Case of Aurous Hill Treasure Pavilion in the Unknown Case of the Forbidden Mountain Tunnel Car Accident." At this moment, the whole network is sympathetic to the Su family's suffering, but also cannot wait to find out the culprit behind the scenes as soon as possible, so that the whole case can be brought to the surface. However, at the moment, neither the Su family, nor the police, nor the general public can find any real valuable clues. The actual fact is that if you have a little bit of the so-called clues on the internet, you will immediately get a lot of people watching. After this video was sent out, the title mentioned the big reveal and immediately attracted many users to click on it. This look does not matter, the whole video clearly and intuitively displayed in front of the audience's face all the facts. At the beginning, it is the scene of a tragic car accident. Shred was killed, Liona and Jiu were seriously injured and their lives were uncertain. Immediately afterwards, Stuart faced the camera and introduced himself. He then told the shocking secret of all. It turns out that the reason why Liona and Jiu were kidnapped by Shred is not a coincidence at all. The reason for this is that old Su wanted this all. The reason is that he is very dissatisfied with Leona's divorce from his son, and is very annoyed with her behavior in coming to Aurous Hill to attend the auction. He even had to kill his own granddaughter for that. Seeing this, all the audience could not help but have a very strong sense of disgust for Chung Fong. At this point, Charlie changed his voice questioning, in the video appeared. Charlie questioned him, Chung Fong, the old dog, for the sake of his own family's why he had to create such a terrible horrible event. At that moment, everyone remembered that Shred had tied explosives, stormed into the treasure pavilion, and shot several hostages, all at the behest of Chung Fong. Not only several innocent hostages died in vain because of Chung Fong's conspiracy. More importantly, the safety of hundreds of people was constantly threatened by his explosives. It was almost a tragic incident. And behind this, it was all Chung Fong's idea. This old dog, simply bad to the bone. The next thing they saw was Shoude's video. The wretched Shoude admitted to the camera that Chung Fong, the old dog, not only wanted to harm Liona and Jiu, even Ruoli was also the victim of Chung Fong's schemes. What's even more outrageous is that Chung Fong, the old dog, not only harmed his granddaughter, but also put Xin out to take the blame. It is simply inhumane. In an instant, all the netizens who saw this video were enraged by Chung Fong's shameless behavior. These netizens immediately became part of the crack propaganda, forwarding this explosive video to all their friends and family. In an instant, the traffic to this video skyrocketed by hundreds of times. In just 10 minutes, tens of millions of people had already watched the video. The trend of public opinion on the internet immediately changed 360 degrees. The internet users used all the vicious words they could think of to curse Chung Fong. The police were struggling to find any relevant clues and suddenly found this video and were furious. Just an hour ago, the public relations director of the Su family made a phone call to urge the police to solve the case as soon as possible, to give the Su family an explanation, and also to rescue the 3 missing members of the Su family as soon as possible. The police also felt a lot of pressure, because after all, the Su family is the most powerful family in the country, but unexpectedly, 3 members of the family disappeared in Aurous Hill, which brought pressure to the Aurous Hill police, comparable to the Tokyo Police Department during the Tokyo chaos. But they never imagined that just when they were trying their best to solve the case, this video would suddenly break out. It turns out that the whole thing is just the Su family's thief shouting to catch a thief. The Su family kept saying that they wanted the police to solve the case as soon as possible so that they could give them an explanation, but in fact, they were behind all the bloodshed. What's even more unacceptable is that they chose to implicate several innocent hostages in this way, even though their own families were fighting within themselves. This is simply a disregard for the law. The police immediately reported the situation to the higher authorities and asked them to investigate the situation seriously. At this moment, the exhausted Chung Fong had just fallen asleep. A sharp knock on the door woke him up from his dream. "Grandpa, something big has happened." The one who shouted at the door was the Su family's first butler. Chung Fong opened his eyes violently and sat up from the bed at once. At this moment, he was deeply nervous because what happened today was almost completely out of control for him, so much so that even his own son's whereabouts were unknown, so now he was afraid that there was suddenly some other bad news. He hurriedly got up, put on a robe, and walked to the door to open it. Outside the door, the housekeeper's face was pale and covered with fine beads of sweat, and it was clear that he was in a state of high tension and fear. Chung Feng's heart thumped. Looking at the stance of the housekeeper, he knew that something very serious must have happened. So, he hurriedly asked, "What happened?" The housekeeper said in tears, "Master. Just a few minutes ago, someone on the short video platform suddenly sent a video. In this video are Stuart and the second son." "What?" When Chung Fong heard that the video was of Stuart and his second son, Shoude, he panicked. The two are missing, and there are no valuable clues yet. When the video related to the two of them is exposed on the internet, then this matter is definitely not simple. So, he hurriedly asked, "What video? Let me see." The housekeeper trembled and took out his cell phone, opened the short video platform, and played the video, which had almost reached the 100 million click mark. Once he saw the scene of the accident, Chung Fong panicked. When Stuart said in front of the camera that it was Chung Fong who wanted to kill Liona at that moment, Chung Fong was as white as paper. He had lost control of his emotions and roared in a trembling voice, "This? Who filmed this? Who took this? I'll kill him. Kill his whole family." The butler stammered, "Master, you can look back first." Chung Fong subconsciously swallowed his saliva and continued to look behind him. At this time, Stuart in front of the camera, the death of Jiu, he also pushed on Chung Feng's head. Chung Feng was instantly furious. What is Stuart talking about? When did I want to kill Jiu? That son of A.B. Tch. I have raised him for so many years, and he betrayed me. I'll cut him into pieces. And the person who took this video must be the one who is working against me behind my back. The first butler said, "Master, the second son is also in the hands of this mysterious person." As soon as the words left his mouth, the video also switched to Shoude's part. In the picture, Shoude is as miserable as he can be. He is a 50-year-old middle-aged fat man, his body was stripped down to a pair of pants, and it was doused with cold water, and his head was topped with ice. And his expression, but also full of fear and pleading, where there is still a bit of the Su family's second son's aura, is completely a middle-aged iron waste otherwise. Chung Feng's heart cannot help but feel some heartache. After all, it is his own son, and after the older son was abandoned by himself, this second son has become the best person in his mind to succeed him. However, as soon as Shoude opened his mouth in the video, Chung Feng's heartache for him disappeared without a trace. A few moments later, he was like an active volcano erupting, roaring in anger, "This beast! How dare you betray your father for glory? I. Chung Feng was so emotional that he couldn't stand up, and his body fell to one side in a daze. The butler hurriedly stepped forward to hold him, and said, "Master. Are you okay?" Chung Feng was so angry that he couldn't even speak. There was a sudden rush of ups and downs in his chest. Seeing that he was in this state, the housekeeper hurriedly took out the walkie-talkie and shouted, "Doctor, Master is uncomfortable now, come here." Chung Feng breathed quickly, and said with difficulty, "Quick, hurry up and help me sit on the sofa." The housekeeper hurriedly helped him, and carefully helped him to the sofa. After Chung Feng sat down, the housekeeper hurriedly helped him rub his chest back and front. At this time, the family doctor also rushed over, holding an oxygen bag and quick-acting pills in his hand. The doctor and the housekeeper together, after Chung Feng took the pill, helped him inhale oxygen, which made his condition slightly better. At this time, Chung Feng was full of anger. He clenched his fists and gnashed his teeth. This is because someone deliberately wants to fix the Su family, or deliberately wants to fix me to death. The housekeeper hurriedly said, "Master, leave this alone. In any case, your body is the most important thing, but you must not get angry." Chung Feng said in anguish, "I'm done, I'm all done. This video not only announced Ruoli and Leona's affairs, but also took Ziyu's black pot on me, and also the charge of lashing explosives into the Jumbo Pavilion and taking hostages by Shred is also counted on my head. This is to make me an enemy of the whole people. Thinking of this, Chung Fong was desperate. He knows too well the Chinese people's character and character of hatred and dejection. Those stars in the entertainment industry who have all kinds of bad deeds will be resisted by the people of the whole country, not to mention that they have stabbed such a big thing now. What if he has money? In front of the people, the richer you are, the less you can be arrogant and do whatever you want. Although the Su family was rich and powerful, they only dared to operate many dirty things behind their backs, and never dared to get it to the face. Sometimes people catch some clues accidentally, and a lot of money and energy must be spent on crisis public relations. Just as many people on the internet suspected that Chung Fong wanted to kill Liona, he put hundreds of millions in a day for his own image, and washed the whole network. The reason is also the fear of exposing oneself, provoking criticism from the people across the country. However, Chung Fong couldn't even dream that the situation he thought he had controlled would collapse completely in an instant. The impact caused by this video right now is like a huge tsunami rushing toward the face. In the face of catastrophes like the tsunami, human beings like him have no chance of escape at all. At this moment, Chung Fong was also the same. The public opinion was extremely angry, almost as if it was rotten, leaving him no room for reversal at all. Chung Fong said to himself in pain, "All of my previous efforts and all public relations went today all in vain." Speaking of this, he continued with grief and indignation. Not only did it become a bubble, but it also had a counterproductive effect. I knew it would be today's situation and kill me. I would not choose to attack Liona. That was lifting a rock and hitting myself in the foot. I raised my machete and broke my hand. The housekeeper couldn't help sighing. Hey, Lord, I didn't expect that Stuart would take people to do this thing personally, and he would be able to do it like this. There is also a second son. I can imagine Master being there and people there dare to attack the second son. Are they tired of their life? Chung Fong roared with a splitting eye. Check it out. Be sure to find out who is working against me. In addition, another 5 billion will be used for crisis public relations. Within 10 minutes, the veto must go away from all websites and apps. At the same time, no media is allowed to publish any opinions and article related to this video. The butler said embarrassedly, "Master, other platforms and apps are fine, but this short video platform, that is owned by Wade family." What is it? Chung Fong's eyes widened, and he blurted out, "This short video platform belongs to the Wade family." When did that family start to enter the internet industry? The butler opened his mouth and said, "In fact, they bought this short video platform several months ago, and it seemed to have spent more than 80 billion. However, I don't know what exactly their purpose is to buy this short video platform. Although this platform is very popular, because it is basically free for users, the profitability is relatively single. In addition to advertising, it is to let a bunch of internet celebrities go up and engage in live streaming sales, and then the platform will take a profit from it. The profit margin is much lower than the industry we usually engage in." Chung Fong looked desperate and said, "What the hell does the Wade family do? What is it not good to buy this kind of online platform? What a FC King Wicked one. Both the Su family and the Wade family are top big families with a century-old history. This kind of big family, like the Rothschild family, generally operates in traditional industries. For example, the energy industry, financial industry, manufacturing industry, real estate industry and ocean shipping industry. But the established families basically don't touch the internet industry. This is not to say that they are not interested in the internet industry, but because they have been working in traditional industries for many years, and all their advantages, contacts, and resources are concentrated in traditional industries. Moreover, this kind of people's way of thinking is relatively conservative, so they generally do not take the initiative to do the internet and tech purchases and operations. This is also why internet bigwigs all over the world are basically emerging wealthy people. It is rare to hear of a top family with a century-old history that has created outstanding achievements in the internet industry. The Su family is naturally the same. Chung Fong basically has no access to the internet, so the Su family rarely does internet business. Therefore, he basically doesn't know much about short video platforms. He only knows that it is a leisure platform that some young people prefer. In his impression, the Wade family seemed to be no different from the Su family. But he really didn't know that the Wade family actually bought the short video platform. If this short video platform belongs to the Wades, then the possibility of wanting them to stop publicize this video is almost zero. But Chung Fong was unwilling to give up. He knew that the most important thing for him now was to quickly delete this video so that others could no longer watch it and completely interrupt its spread. So if you want to achieve this goal, you can only ask the Wade family for help. So he covered his chest and said with difficulty, "Go and get my phone, I want to call Zongquan." After Zongquan heard the news of Shoude's disappearance, he immediately summoned his sons and Leon for a meeting overnight. In this meeting, Zongquan and his sons were very excited. The Su family's loss was indeed heavy this time. The eldest son was sacrificed in the last round and the fame of Master Su was preserved, but in a blink of an eye, the second son also folded in, which would definitely make the entire Su family army upset. Moreover, the shortage of manpower is the next most serious problem for the Su family. But at this moment, Leon suddenly received a message. He looked down at his mobile phone and said with excitement, "Master, it seems that someone has exposed Su's family on a short video platform." Now the discussion among netizens is very intense. "Oh," Zongquan hurriedly asked, "what is exposed? Let me take a look." Leon immediately opened the short video platform, and the one that ranked first in the algorithm recommendation was the video uploaded by Charlie. Everyone hurriedly gathered around, and just watched it for a few dozen seconds, and everyone was excited with no addition. After watching the video, Zongquan was a little trembling with excitement. This is really God helping me. God helping me too. Chung Fong, the immortal old man, not this time, was pressed to the ground and exploded with a hammer. The Su family is over this time. Ha ha ha. Charlie's uncle, Andrew, couldn't help sighing. As soon as this video came out, the Su family basically had no room for return. Not only would the people across the country attack them, but the police would also attack them, and the Du family would not let go. Yeah, Chengyan said with a smile, "In my opinion, it won't be long before the strength of the Su family will be weakened in many ways. Maybe we don't need to do anything. We will become the first family in the country in a few days." Zongquan nodded and said, "This time, things are extraordinary. This old thing Chung Fong dares to make fun of the lives of hundreds of people. It is impossible for the people above him to forgive him easily. This time he really caught fire." The boss, Andrew, couldn't help asking, "Dad, how do you think the above will punish the Su family?" Zongquan said seriously, "For such an important matter, and it has caused such great public outrage, the Su family might have someone to bear criminal responsibility, otherwise it would not be easy to give the general public an explanation." Andrew exclaimed, "Take criminal responsibility? Could that old man Chung Fong go to jail?" Zongquan shook his head and said, "Chung Fong is already in his 70s or 80 years old. It is basically impossible to go to jail. Even if he is sentenced, he should be executed outside prison." Andrew asked again, "Dad, do you think Chung Fong will be arrested and sentenced this time?" Zongquan smiled, "It depends on whether Chung Fong can find a scapegoat this time." Having said this, he couldn't help but said with sarcasm, "But I see, if Chung Fong wants to find someone to come out and take the blame, all the people can't agree. After all, he has already had a precedent for throwing the pot to Zin. In this case, even if he pushes another son out to top the bag, the people will not buy it." Andrew smiled and said, "If you say so, then he will be doomed this time." Zongquan nodded and said, "This time it must be impossible for him to want to dump, but you know that this kind of thing was not killed by him. Besides, Shred is also dead. There is no evidence for this kind of thing now." Chung Fong quibbled at that time and said that he just wanted Shred to help teach Liona, and did not instruct Shred to kill. Then it is impossible to directly convict him of intentional homicide. After speaking, Zongquan added, "After all, the Su family still has a lot of strength. Chung Fong definitely has a way to get himself out of crime and reduce punishment as much as possible. In addition, he is indeed very old. He may really be sentenced to a felony, so I estimate that he is likely to be sentenced to a serious crime and then sentenced to a few years in prison. He is indeed very old." When the time comes, he will apply for another sentence outside prison. Even if it passes. Andrew couldn't help sighing with emotion. Hey. It would be good if Shred hadn't died. If he was captured alive and let him tell the truth about the matter in court, then Chung Fong would not be able to escape death. Zongquan smiled slightly. Andrew, you are still too naive in front of Chung Fong. Andrew asked puzzledly. Dad, what do you mean by this? Zongquan said indifferently. If Shred is really not dead, Chung Fong might have fled the country overnight. How can a person like him allow himself to stay in the country and become a prisoner? You know, he doesn't have more than 10 years to live. If he is sentenced to more than 10 years in prison, he can only live in prison in this life. In that case, why not just escape? As long as he escapes, with his asset level, he can live extremely richly anywhere in the world. If it's a big deal, he will give up the position of Su family patriarch, and then he will retire early and enjoy more than 10 years of life in his later years. After he is dead, let his family transport his body back to the country and bury it in the ancestral grave of the Su family. It is considered the fallen leaves to return to their roots. In this case, there is no need to sit in prison for a day. Andrew realized this when he heard this. So, he said with some embarrassment, Dad, you still think more comprehensively. Zongquan sighed softly and said in his heart, I have to say that among my sons Changying was really smart. The remaining 3 are really lackluster. Just as he sighed deeply in his heart, his cell phone suddenly rang. As for Zongquan, there may be no more than 10 people who know his mobile phone number and can call him directly except for his family. So at the moment the phone rang, he was somewhat surprised. Looking down, Zongquan suddenly laughed. Ha ha. Chung Fong turned out to be calling. This old guy, who called me so late, I don't know what the idea is. All other people were immediately curious. You know, the Su family and the Wade family have almost no contact, especially the patriarch of the 2 families, who regard each other as a thorn in the eye. Some of the previous negotiations on the division of territory were not discussed by the 2 in person but were handed over to their own next generation. Now, Chung Fong suddenly called Zongquan, and everyone was very curious about what Chung Fong wanted to do. Zongquan answered the phone and turned on the speaker. Chung Feng's voice immediately came from the other end of the phone. Oh, Brother Wade. I haven't seen you for many days. I don't know what Brother Wade is up to lately. Zongquan snorted, and said with a smile. Oh, Chung Feng, don't engage in polite greetings at this time, just tell me what's the matter. Chung Feng hesitated for a moment, and then he said, okay. Since Brother Wade is so refreshing, then I won't have to ink with you. I called, hoping that Brother Wade can do me a favor. Zongquan smiled and said, ask me for help. What can I do for you? Chung Feng sighed and said seriously, Brother Wade, I know how much I have offended in the past, but this time I do have a little trouble with my brother, so I hope you can ignore the predecessors and help me connect you to the video link. The video about our Su family needs to be completely deleted. Zongquan pretended to be surprised and said, oh, you want me to delete that video? Yes. Chung Feng said hurriedly, I don't know if Brother Wade can help. If so, Brother Wade can ask. For a price. Zongquan smiled and exaggeratedly said, oh, Chung Feng, let me just say something from my heart, you're thinking of eating AF at RT. Zongquan's mockery made Chung Feng angry. He really didn't expect that he put down his figure and came to Zongquan to ask him to be more or less polite, right? As a result, the old bee at Stard said that he was thinking of F at RT. This is really outrageous. But he still gritted his teeth and said, Brother Wade. You and my family have been fighting secretly for so many years. You should also know what the mountains don't turn around. If you want to completely turn your face with me today, you will wait for Chung Feng to relax in the future. Come, don't blame my ruthlessness, men. Zongquan sneered, Chung Feng, it's boring for me to say that you are a thief. If you are really capable, just think of it yourself. What's the point of running over and pretending to be ruthless? After he finished speaking, he continued to sneer, at this time, you run over to me to delete the video. Think about it with your toes. I can't promise you. Chung Feng suffered a huge humiliation and gritted his teeth and said, okay. Zongquan, if you don't want to delete the video, then I don't want to force it. Since there is no front, then we will talk about the business directly. I heard that your short video platform costs more than 80 billion to buy, so let me give you 120 billion directly, and you sell it to me and make a net profit of more than 30 billion. How about it? No. Zhongquan refused without hesitation. You don't know how optimistic I am for the short video industry. The reason I bought this platform was to make the short video industry bigger and stronger. How could this be possible? Have you shot it long ago? Chung Fong said coldly, speaking of it, isn't it just too little money? So, I won't grind with you, 150 billion. As long as you say something, I will arrange financial payment now. Impossible. Zhongquan smiled slightly. I, in principle, never have trouble with money, but today's matter is definitely not a problem that money can solve. I persuade you to die. After speaking, he didn't wait for Chung Feng's response, and simply ended the call. Chung Feng on the other end of the phone was so angry that his chest fluctuated violently. His butler hurriedly asked, Master. Zhongquan made it clear that he wanted to see our jokes. Wouldn't it be that he was secretly instigating the affairs of Aurous Hill? Maybe, the second son is now in his hands. Chung Feng waved his hand with a dark face, and said coldly, Impossible, even if Aurous Hill is the site of the Wade family, it is impossible for the Wade family to deal with all this behind their backs. After that, Chung Feng said again, Don't forget, Shred has never been to Aurous Hill before. When he exposed himself in Aurous Hill, he had just arrived there. Think about it, when he arrived in Aurous Hill, he was consciously found by the police immediately, and then he rushed into the treasure pavilion and kidnapped Liona and Jiu. Immediately after that, when he drove Liona and Jiu to rendezvous with Stuart, something happened suddenly, and the Wade family didn't even have an hour to prepare. In this time window of less than an hour, they not only need to track Shred accurately but also have the ability to directly take down Stuart and the four of them. Stuart is very strong. As far as I know, the Wade family has not a single person who can surpass him. Speaking of this, Chung Feng continued to analyze. There is also the disappearance of Shoude. Shoude was in the hotel, and there were more than 20 masters from Su family to protect, but the other party could unexpectedly be unaware of these more than 20 masters. Next, took him away easily. This proves that the opponent's strength is far higher than the more than 20 masters. How can there be such a powerful person in the Wade family? Chapter 2512. To put it hard, if the Wade family really had this ability, they could have easily kidnapped me, or assassinated me directly at home. How could they keep being crushed by the Su family? That's also, the butler hesitated for a moment, and then asked, Master, then, could it be that the Wade family suddenly made friends with some hidden master? It's unlikely. Chung Feng shook his head, and said, the Wade family has always paid less attention to martial arts masters than we do. Zhongquan, an old man, only has money in his eyes, and he will spend a lot of money to raise a large number of martial arts masters. In this kind of thing, he is not interested at all. So how can such a person find a real expert to help? With that said, Chung Feng said with a grim expression, I can think of 3 possibilities now. The butler hurriedly asked, Master, what are the 3? Chung Feng said, the first possibility is that the He family is against me behind the scenes. What family? The butler hurriedly asked, You are talking about Ruoli's family. Yes. Chung Feng gritted his teeth. Since Ruoli's accident, the He family has removed all the masters in our Su family, but never asked me for an explanation. The reason why they did not ask for an explanation is very important. Maybe it is planning to seek revenge in secret. Moreover, the He family is a family of martial arts, and there are many masters in the family. Maybe they are the ghosts behind them. The butler asked, Master, what about the other 2 possibilities? Chung Feng said with a solemn expression, Ruoli's life or death is still uncertain. If this girl is dead, it will be fine. But if she really escaped, then with her personality, she will probably get revenge on me. The butler opened the mouth and said, Master, since Ruoli's whereabouts are unknown, I have followed your instructions and have been paying attention to the customs entry situation across the country. There has been no clue about her. That can't be taken lightly. Chung Feng sighed, although Ruoli is very young, she is indeed very powerful. If she is really alive, she is a time bomb. After speaking, Chung Feng slapped his lips again and continued, however, no matter it is the whole He family or Ruoli, their strength is very strong, but they are really not strong enough to make more than 20 top masters lick the dust. I didn't notice it, so this is something I haven't figured out. The housekeeper nodded and said seriously, when the He family never turned our face with us, we almost knew the situation within the family. Among their generation of young people, the strongest is Ruoli, but she does not seem to be strong either. To this point, Chung Fong sighed and said, there is another possibility. The housekeeper hurriedly asked, Master, what's the possibility? Chung Fong said, do you remember that Zhufei and Jiu had an accident in Japan and were saved by a mysterious Chinese man? Remember. The butler said, Miss Jiu has always wanted to find the whereabouts of that mysterious person. Chung Fong said, that person is extremely powerful. One person can kill multiple top Japanese ninjas unharmed, which is almost equivalent to one person being able to kill multiple Chinese martial arts masters in succession. It is definitely the top of the top. If this person is capable, it's really so strong, then it's very likely that he will kidnap Shoude quietly under the eyelids of more than 20 masters in the Su family.